Alright, step one. Now, I'm using 2 pints of oysters. These are from Elizabeth City, North Carolina, Waterman's Pride oysters. Zoom in there. These, what Food Line sells, they've always been good. So, anyway, step one is I've got my strainer basket. So, when they shuck these, sometimes you'll get some shells or some sand in these. So, I try to clean them a little bit. That's the kind of step one of this process. Now, I do try to save the juice. You want the juice, just like chicken broth, beef broth. That's what you put back into your oyster stew for the good flavor. So, I've got this poured out. I just kind of pick each one up, rinse them off just a smidge. You don't really have to rinse them. I feel over each oyster to be sure I don't feel any shells. Sure. Pick one up and see if you can feel any shells there. And if you can't, put it in the bowl.
They're cold.
They are cold. They're right out of the fridge.
Wait, that's hard. I can't tell if that's a shell.
You'll know if it's a shell. That's the part that connects the oyster to the shell itself. It's a little tougher, but you will know immediately if you find a piece of a shell in these things. So, alright. So our oysters are all clean. We've got our broth here that we're going to use, our stock broth, whatever you want to call it. I've got a couple oysters that are a smidge larger than I normally use in an oyster stew, which it's just a good thing when you get big oysters. I will cut those in half probably. You don't have to. I just prefer to have more small pieces of oysters. Alright, so now we are going to move over to the stove and saute these oysters in some butter. Alright, so now we've got our oysters cleaned and prepared. Got our pot warming. So we're going to put in 1 stick of butter. Get that melting in the bottom. Alright, so we're going to add in our oysters. We're just going to saute those a little bit, just kind of get them cooking. Alright, so we got our butter melted. Oysters are sauteed just a smidge here. See how that's nice and melted. So now we're going to add in our oyster stock that we saved earlier. We're going to add in 1/2 gallon of milk. Now this is the important part here. This milk, you'll curdle the milk if you heat it too quickly. So now I'm just going to turn this down on low to 2 on this stove here in particular, and just let that warm up. Now this might take 30 minutes or so. Go do your evening chores. This will be ready for you in no time. This stuff right at the end, turn it up just a smidge to try to get it to go ahead and finish up. So final plating here, simply so be sure to get you some of the oysters in there. Now, if you don't like the oysters, the stew's just as good without the oysters. So now, that's what your oyster stew is going to look like. Now, I like crackers in mine. Some people don't. That's just a personal preference. But that is old-fashioned homemade oyster stew. Now this, I did make a mistake. I used 2 1/2 pints of oysters instead of 2 pints. But 1 pint of oysters, 1/2 gallon of milk, 1 stick of butter, and this will feed 4 people. If you're eating salads with it, you can stretch it on out to more people. So anyway, all right. Thanks for joining in for another episode of Overtime. We bring you more recipes. We're going to be hitting the shop here before long. Some more videos from the shop. So if you like our videos, please like
and subscribe.
Yeah, keep doing this. Keep you on some easy recipes, some easy fixes. Thanks. See you on the next video.